I'm here with Moshe Engelberg, an old friend, and he's got some great ideas about love and business, which I just can't even connect for the life of me. So I can't wait to hear what he's got to say.
All right. Hi, John.
Hi,
Good
hi,
to be with
Moshe.
you. Yeah. Yeah. It's been a while. I'm glad I've been following your work and you keep doing more and more and putting the message out there to help people with their data and make good decisions and leverage what they got. And so I'm glad to be reconnected and I can fill you in on how business and love fit together.
Okay, well, you've got a book out, right?
I do. It's this,
Whoa.
Amare Wave,
Wait, how thick is that?
uplifting.
Holy
Uh,
smokes.
yeah, it's a book, 300 something pages.
Wow.
And I know the fashion these days is to write what some call a one airplane ride book. And I almost did, and then I felt guided to put everything I had into this one. The whole idea of love in business. And some people like you're saying, how do they go together? And one way to think about it is why business exists. And in my view, business exists not to make money, but to make life better for people. Every business starts with the premise I can improve that, I can fix that, I have a new idea that'll accomplish this, and all those things point towards improving life, and that makes our world a little better. That's how business provides value to society, and as a result of that, companies make money, often a lot of it. And the more they're connected with providing value to society, the more money they make typically. Kind of the whole doing well by doing good kind of thing. And there's a lot of evidence to support that. So I stretch it to call it love. And I define love simply as energy that uplifts and connects. So for example, I walk into a favorite grocery store, Trader Joe's. I used to walk in there pre-pandemic. And I feel a little bit uplifted, feels good. And I feel connected, like, yeah, my kind of people, I kind of fit in. They wear shirts like this. And
So do I, when it's warm.
yes, yes. So that's what I call love, that feeling of energy that uplifts and connects. When I walk into most grocery chains, I don't feel that. It feels kind of flat. And to me, John, at this point in life, it's too short to not have that uplifting experience. And I call on business leaders to provide that, to shape their businesses and their value proposition, their workforce, and their priorities to make sure they're uplifting to their employees, to all their stakeholders, and especially to customers. And when people say, well, I'm not comfortable with the word love in business, I have two responses. One is, call it grilled cheese. I don't care. Call it whatever you want. It's just do that work to uplift people and provide connection, and that's how you'll prosper. And the second thing is, I would ask the question, so I'll ask you this, John. Are there any teams you'd say you love, like the Golden State Warriors, Pittsburgh Steelers, or other sports teams?
No, I've kind of soured on my sports teams. Maybe the Wisconsin Badgers.
Okay, the Badgers. Or maybe there's a restaurant. You'd say, I love that place. So most of us, no matter what our thinking about love and businesses, would say, yeah, I love that. I love In-N-Out Burger. I love the Badgers. I love whatever. So as consumers, customers, we're used to ascribing love to
Yeah.
a business.
Cars love Shell.
So what?
Cars love Shell. That was an old David Ogilvy campaign.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, cars love Shell. And so we all love something in business. So wouldn't you want to be on the other side and have customers say that about your company? Yeah, we love John's work. We love Shell. We love whatever the company is. Of course you would. Every leader would. So that's how to connect love and business. We all want our customers to say, yeah, I love that company. And then they'll be what Ken Blanchard calls raving fans and talk about it to other people and have that sense of loyalty and conviction. That's my kind of company. I support them. I want them to succeed. I want to give them my money.
So does it work? Have you got good case studies in there?
Yes. Yeah. In the book, there's a lot of case studies. And so for Trader Joe's, the one I started with, for example, earns about 4 to 6 times more per square foot than the average grocery store. And the others, there's a lot of classic examples, USAA, Costco compared to their competitors, and Patagonia. There's literally dozens of examples. And I also draw on existing research, like in the book Firms of Endearment, that found that companies that do business this way, he didn't call it the Amare way. Amare is Latin for love. Yeah. He had different words, but fundamentally the same principles at play, that they performed 8x better than the S&P over a 15-year period.
Wow.
And so there's evidence from a lot of different arenas, both statistical evidence and anecdotal, and then there's just the common sense. Well, if customers feel like they're cared about and treated right, and they buy into the value proposition, wouldn't they be loyal? Wouldn't they want to go back? Of course they would. So from the different realms of data, there's a lot that converges to say, yes, this works.
Okay, and I do love Land's End. Most days I'm wearing Land's End stuff, and I've been shopping with them since the 70s. So I can understand that. Although, the concern I have about the case studies is that maybe you're cherry picking. You're saying, okay, these are companies that have high earnings. Which of these are loved? Because there's probably companies with high earnings that aren't loved and wouldn't fit your model. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is fair. So there's 2 points there, and I'm glad you brought that up. One is, if I contrast, you might remember Jim Collins' book, Good to Great,
right?
About 20 years ago.
Or I was thinking in Search of Excellence, where it sounded good, but after the book came out, all those companies got in trouble, with their earnings, not because of the book, but just because
right.
Things go up and down,
They do. That's the nature of things. And that's happened with some of the good to great companies like Wells Fargo, who's...
Right. Oh, yeah. Woo-hoo.
Yeah. So they're an example. Their practices of late have not been Amare, have not been very love-centered at all, and they're paying a significant price. So in some books are that share, let's look at earnings and then back into what their practices are and cherry pick. In contrast, for example, in the book Firms of Endearment by Raj Sisodia and Companies, which I cited a couple minutes ago, they did the opposite. They said, let's look at companies that do this, that have these practices, that run their businesses in this way. And then let's look at their financial performance. So that was the opposite of cherry picking to show success, was the right starting point. And in my research too is the same way, as let's look at companies that do this and see how they perform. And they do better, typically, often much better. But John, there's 2 caveats to add. One is, this is not the only way to make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. We have ample evidence that companies can be at the opposite end, can be greedy and not treat people well and be deceitful and all those things and make a lot of money. Often they're rewarded, like in the last recession, companies who were too big to fail sent a message that you can do whatever you want and treat people however you want, and if you're big enough, we'll rescue you. And so that sends a message that says you don't have to be accountable for your actions fully. And wow. The other...
go ahead.
So companies... Yeah, I'm sorry. So companies don't need to do... And there's companies in the middle that are more transactional rather than relationship-based and rooted in this idea of uplifting. And they do fine. So this is not the only path to money, but I think it's a better way to prosper, where people are authentic, they feel good about themselves, they bring their whole selves to work, and they're connected with their higher purpose. They're not just there to make money. And the second caveat, John, is that it's not sufficient to have this mindset and these set of practices that I call the Amare way. You need a good business model, you need sufficient capital, you need the right people, you need a value proposition that people buy into. You need certain essentials in place. This is not a panacea that'll magically fix everything.
Well, that leads us, yeah, because I was thinking about Aldi, and I read Mark Ritson a lot, and he said Aldi's just killing it in the UK because they are able with their business model to deliver groceries less expensively than I think it was Tesco or some others that were bigger. And I go into Aldi here, and there isn't much love. There's just I can't believe how the cashiers can. I mean, they kind of like throw the items across the scanner, and you're responsible for where they hit. That isn't so much Amare in that, but I've always tried to encourage people to deliver value. Now that value can be relational, and the value can also be financial. It's but deliver value somehow. That's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah, exactly. That's I think that's why businesses are created, to provide value to people and society.
Okay, so let's say I buy into your book. Let's say I buy your book. That would be, everybody should buy his book. I should have bought your book. Sometimes people send me their books. Scott Adams, who I love Scott Adams. He writes Dilbert. And so he sent me one, and so I reviewed it, video review. But anyway, and happy to do that. But but let's say we buy into your book, and we want more Amare in our lives and in our business. And I mean, I've been working really hard at giving my clients a lot of information about how the machine learning process works. And mostly they're busy. They just want it to work, and they don't really want to know. And so, I try really hard when I want to do an hour video on the latest model to get it to 5 minutes. But, as much as I love what I do and love providing that value, and it does work, not all my clients, the love they want is make the deadline mostly.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
It's like the love languages thing. The book about, I don't know if you've read that, but where it says, the husband likes to give hugs, and the wife just wants the dishwasher fixed.
Right.
And what the way we give love and the way we feel loved can be way different for our spouse.
Totally.
So is that the case in business too? I think maybe it is.
Yeah, it is. It is the case. And you're right, we can get so caught up in our work and our thinking. We think the whole world will be fascinated. Remember, I was started my consulting firm years ago. I was finishing my PhD at Stanford, and there was a lot of theory and research in the program I was in. And I'd go to clients and start telling them about this theory and about marketing and that theory about communication and persuasion. And I realized they don't care. They just need to get the job done and have this outcome. And then it took me a few years, but then I finally figured out I can employ the theory and the research. Like, you can employ your models and the thinking behind it and the algorithms, but people don't have to understand them. They trust you, and it's just, okay, help me solve this problem. Help me move this forward. So I totally agree with that. And love does come across differently to different people. That's why I define it generally as what uplifts people and gives them a sense of connection. So that could be a lot of different things. It could be like at Aldi, if the cashiers were more friendly, it could be they look at you and say, "Hey, John, hope you're having a good day," or they speed up, or they
can't go any faster.
Yeah, or they slow down, or they show they care about the product, or just smile. Whatever it is, there's lots of ways that can give you a sense of
they're pretty friendly.
Yeah.
So do you have a set of steps that I can do to evaluate the level of love that I am giving, or how do we move this? How do we implement?
Yes. So two things. One is, a starting point that I recommend is getting together with your people in the company and ask the question, at our company, do we love our customers? And the answer will be a very quick. If it's yes, it'll be yes very quickly. Otherwise, well, So this one, yeah, this one, no, maybe. And I say, no, we don't care. We just want their money, whatever it is. But that's a starting diagnostic. Do we love our customers? And then the second question is, do they love us back?
Ooh.
And then it's, well, how do you, if you love them, how do you show it? If you don't love them, it's what would it take to do that? And do they love us back? It's, well, how do we know? And that's where the data comes into play. So those as starting points get the conversation going and quickly convey the value of putting love to work. And then in the book, there's a series of exercises. I have what I call mirrors, doors, and windows. So the windows are kind of stories that peek into some other business. And the mirrors are where people self-reflect and look at themselves. So I ask hard questions about authenticity, for example. Do your words and actions match as a business leader? Do you have nice words in your boardroom like integrity and teamwork, and then go out and screw customers the next day? Or is there consistency? Is there alignment and a fit? So there's a lot of look at yourself questions. And then the doors are kind of a threshold. Step over the threshold, and there's something like 150 action steps people can take to move forward.
Okay. So what I meant by case studies, though, was not so much examples in retrospect as like your implementation through these questions and things, and an improvement on the ROI of a business. How about that?
Yes, there are some stories of that. And the way this book came to be was not where I had this fully developed model that I call the Amare way, and I implemented it over 25 years with dozens or hundreds of companies, and here's the data. This is not that kind of book. I've been implementing the principles and seeing the results, and I've been seeing the gaps. And the fundamental insight that came from the gaps was the business is missing love. And that causes a lot of pain, and it wears people out and leads to this kind of fighting and fear mentality. Like, we got to crush the competition. We have to capture market share. It makes people be predatory. And imagine treating our customers like prey. What is up with that? But that's how we talk in business. That's what we do. So this whole framework came together as a result of work I did in different domains, not with the whole model, but with pieces of it. And then seeing the problems and then getting this download, I'll call it, for lack of a better phrase, of here's how to pull it together and create this vision for what business could be and a step-by-step way of implementing it.
I was at a private meeting at Quill Corporation one time, and Jack Miller, the founder, said, "We need blood on the snow."
Yeah.
Jack was great, but I think he really did he certainly loved his employees. I think he really loved his customers too. It was pretty funny, but he was really, he always was trying to figure out how he could deliver that value more efficiently. And when he moved out to Lincolnshire, out west of Chicago, and the first day, the post office there was so inundated with the orders that came in, because he got a lot of mail order, and this was in like the 80s, late 80s or so. And he said, "Well, why don't you just let us sort the mail, and we'll give you the ones that aren't for us." And they didn't go over that at all.
That's funny.
but you find these great business leaders do have a lot of love, and they also have a lot of insight into what their customers, we always talk about marketing as find a need and fill it, but some of the greatest marketing innovations were to find something that nobody realized they needed, like the iPod or something like that.
That's right. And I think that comes from really understanding what makes people tick and how they operate. And to me, underneath it's about building relationships, either with the product or with the brand. That's what good marketing does.
Well, I'm mostly a math guy. My wife will tell you I'm not the best at relationships, so I probably better get your book. I'm assuming it's available on Amazon or something. Amare, the Amare Wave is right. AMARE. Right. I saw it on behind you there, and I could spell it right. Okay. And so we're going to get that book, and I'm going to learn how to be a better lover.
Exactly, exactly. And one comment, given your realm of data, that's I think an important one is that in the West, especially, we're much more comfortable with facts and figures than feelings. And to me, feelings are data too. It's a different form of data. So this is in your zone, John. It's just a different aspect of it.
Well, one of my clients told me I violate every rule of statistical analysis that they had ever heard of. And a friend of mine introduced me to one of the professors at UCLA, and I fixed his book for him, which was a PDF where everything was sideways. And I said, if you'd like it, call me. And we got to talk for about an hour. And he said, John, you don't violate statistics, you elevate them because you care what it all means. You love the data, and that's true. And that's a piece. I don't know if you know, but we've beaten like 11 different companies across time in head-to-head tests in the mail, and it puzzled me for years why we would win when I really have no formal training. But a lot of it is because I care what it means. I care what the customer's thinking. And most mathematics people just want the p-values to look good. And that is a formula for disaster.
Exactly. I love that you elevate. So that's your form of love. You're uplifting data
Yeah.
to a higher.
And when
higher.
it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you think, this is good enough, it's not good enough. If you're not happy with it, you need to keep pushing it. And oh man, that happens to me all the time where I'm just, my clients wouldn't know the difference. It'll probably work anyway. Nope, I never say that. You can't ever let yourself off the hook like that.
Oh, I'm so glad to reconnect with you, John. Thanks for doing this. I love your questions. Very pragmatic as always. And you sound like we didn't talk personal stuff, but you sound like you're in a good spot in life.
Yeah, this is the best year we've had in 25 years probably.